Creativity is often seen as the ability to think beyond what already exists, yet our brains are wired through pre-existing neural pathways, past experiences, and learned patterns. If our thoughts are shaped by what we already know, how is it possible to create something truly new? This paradox is central to understanding human innovation in fields ranging from science to art. One explanation lies in neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections between ideas. When we encounter a problem or seek inspiration, our brain doesn't invent something out of thin air. Instead, it recombines existing knowledge in unexpected ways. Think of how jazz musicians improvise. They don't create random notes, but rather rearrange familiar musical elements into something fresh. Consider Einstein's theory of relativity. He didn't create new physics from nowhere. He connected existing ideas about space, time, and motion in a way that no one had before. Similarly, in literature, J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series wasn't built from entirely new concepts. It blended existing myths, folklore, and fantasy elements in a unique way. Could creativity simply be an advanced form of pattern recognition and remixing? Another key factor is default mode network (DMN) activity. This is the brain network that becomes active when we are daydreaming, resting, or letting our minds wander. Studies show that people who engage in creative problem solving often experience sudden insights while their conscious mind is relaxed. Have you ever had a great idea while taking a shower or just before falling asleep? That's your DMN at work, integrating information below the level of conscious thought. Creativity also involves breaking cognitive constraints. Sometimes our strongest habits and knowledge act as mental roadblocks, preventing us from seeing alternative solutions. This is why radical innovations often come from outsiders to a field, like how Steve Jobs, trained in calligraphy, introduced aesthetic typography into computers. It's also why brainstorming techniques encourage thinking outside conventional frameworks, such as asking absurd what-if questions to force novel connections. The paradox is that creativity is both constrained and limitless at the same time. Our brains must rely on prior knowledge and structured neural networks, yet by reshuffling, reimagining, and letting go of rigid thought patterns, they can produce something the world has never seen before. Could this mean that the most creative minds are not necessarily those with the most knowledge, but those who are best at breaking and reassembling knowledge? Understanding this paradox could help unlock new methods for fostering creativity in education, science, and technology. Creativity arises from the brain's ability to recombine existing knowledge in novel ways while still operating within biological and cognitive limits. Neural networks integrate past experiences stored in the prefrontal cortex and hippocampus, selectively modifying and reassembling these memories to form new concepts. However, this process raises the paradox. If creativity is bound by pre-existing neural structures, how does the mind generate entirely new, groundbreaking ideas? Artists and scientists often report experiencing eureka moments after prolonged exposure to a problem, indicating that creativity stems from unconscious pattern recognition rather than entirely new information. Like remixing musical samples into a new song, the brain repurposes known elements into novel creations rather than inventing from nothing. The default mode network, DMN, is a brain system that activates when a person is not focused on a task, enabling free association and divergent thinking. Research using fMRI scans has shown that highly creative individuals exhibit stronger connections between the DMN and the executive control network, which governs goal-directed thought. This contradicts traditional models of cognition that separate structured logical processing from creative, abstract thought. Studies on jazz musicians and freestyle rappers show increased DMN activity when they improvise, suggesting that creativity flourishes when structured thought is temporarily inhibited. Like brainstorming without judgment, the DMN allows the mind to explore ideas freely before imposing logical constraints. Many breakthroughs occur after individuals take a break from a problem, indicating that subconscious neural processing continues in the background. This phenomenon, known as the incubation effect, suggests that creativity benefits from a balance between focused effort and cognitive relaxation. Neuroscientific studies reveal that during rest, The brain replays and reorganizes information, allowing unexpected insights to emerge. The chemist Friedrich Kekulé discovered the ring structure of benzene after dreaming about a snake biting its tail, illustrating how unconscious thought processes contribute to problem solving. Like a slow-cooking stew, creative insights emerge when ideas are allowed to simmer in the background rather than being forced. Creativity requires both divergent thinking, generating multiple ideas, and convergent thinking, selecting the best ideas, yet these processes are controlled by different neural circuits. The paradox lies in how the brain balances these opposing modes without becoming trapped in either excessive randomness or rigid structure. Recent research suggests that creative individuals can shift between these modes more fluidly, leveraging both spontaneous and analytical thought. Great inventors like Leonardo da Vinci kept notebooks filled with wild ideas, but also systematically tested and refined them, demonstrating the necessity of both creative freedom and disciplined evaluation. Like an architect designing a new building, creativity combines free-form ideation with structured problem-solving to produce a functional innovation. If creativity stems from existing knowledge, how can people imagine things they have never seen before? Neuroscience suggests that imagination is constrained recombination. Our minds blend familiar concepts in novel ways rather than producing completely original structures. This raises the paradox of how creative breakthroughs feel new while still adhering to underlying cognitive templates. Mythical creatures like griffins and centaurs are combinations of real animals, reflecting how imagination repurposes known elements rather than inventing from scratch. Like mixing colors to create new shades, creativity emerges from the brain's ability to blend and modify existing information. Language provides a powerful tool for abstract thought, but it also constrains creative expression by limiting how ideas can be articulated. Research in cognitive linguistics suggests that language shapes the way we conceptualize problems, meaning that creative solutions may be bounded by linguistic structures. This paradox highlights how the tools we use for innovation can also impose limits on it. Speakers of languages with more words for colors can distinguish subtle color variations more easily, demonstrating how linguistic categories shape perception and creativity. Like a sculptor working with stone, creativity is shaped by the medium through which ideas are expressed. Creativity involves both structured reasoning and randomness, yet purely random thought would not produce meaningful insights. The brain appears to use stochastic resonance, controlled bursts of neural noise, to introduce small variations that can lead to new ideas while maintaining coherence. This suggests that randomness is necessary for creativity but must be constrained to prevent chaotic or nonsensical thought. Neural networks trained to generate art or music perform best when small amounts of randomness are introduced, mimicking the brain's method of controlled creative exploration. Like jazz improvisation, creativity thrives when randomness is introduced within an underlying structure. Creativity is advantageous for problem-solving and survival, yet the evolutionary mechanisms that sustain it are unclear because creative thought is often inefficient and unpredictable. The paradox is why evolution would favor a trait that sometimes leads to impractical ideas rather than immediate survival benefits. One theory suggests that creativity evolved as a byproduct of general intelligence, enhancing adaptability and long-term innovation. Early humans who developed tools and symbolic art had cognitive flexibility that likely provided survival advantages in unpredictable environments. Like investing in research that may not yield immediate results, evolution favors creativity because occasional breakthroughs outweigh inefficiencies. AI systems can generate creative outputs, but they rely on pre-existing data sets and cannot yet replicate human intuition. The paradox is that while AI can mimic creativity through pattern recognition and recombination, it lacks intrinsic curiosity or the ability to set its own creative goals. This suggests that human creativity involves more than just data processing. It requires self-directed exploration and meaning-making. AI-generated art can produce striking images, but lacks the depth of intentional artistic expression that comes from human experience. like a skilled chef following a recipe versus an innovator creating new cuisine, AI can replicate known patterns, but lacks independent creative intent.